10,000 words in English. Levels from A0 to C2. Part number 6. Welcome to the new series of the Talk English Fluently channel. In this fresh collection, I will be explaining 10,000 words that cover levels from A0 to C2. This is a vast and rich compilation of words that will greatly enhance your English language skills. Please watch the video until the end, and if you have any suggestions for improving future videos in this series, kindly leave them in the comments section. I appreciate your support through comments, likes, and subscribing to my channel. Ready to begin. Let's go! Part number 6. 500 words. Sadist.
The movie villain was portrayed as a sadist who enjoyed causing pain.
It's important to remember that a sadist takes pleasure in others' suffering, which is harmful behavior.
Injunction.
An injunction can provide a legal means to prevent an action from taking place.
The court issued an injunction to stop the company from releasing the controversial product.
Cashmere.
Her favorite sweater is made of soft cashmere.
Cashmere wool is known for its luxurious texture and warmth.
Jar.
The cookies were stored in a large glass jar on the top shelf.
He accidentally dropped the jar of honey on the kitchen floor.
Slalom.
She won the gold medal in the giant slalom skiing event.
During the slalom race, the skier navigated through the gates with precision.
Retrospect.
Looking back in retrospect, I realize I missed a great opportunity.
In retrospect, I wish I had made a different decision.
Forecast.
The weather forecast predicts rain for the weekend.
The economic forecast suggests growth in the next quarter.
Reimburse.
They agreed to reimburse the full amount I spent on the damaged item.
The company promised to reimburse me for the travel expenses.
Texture.
The cake had a smooth and creamy texture.
The artist used different brush strokes to create a unique texture in the painting.
Burgeon.
The garden burgeoned with colorful flowers in spring.
The startup began to burgeon after securing funding.
Bigot.
The bigot refused to accept anyone with different beliefs.
His bigotry prevented him from seeing the value in diversity.
Mutant.
In the movie, exposure to radiation caused the protagonist to become a mutant with special abilities.
The scientist discovered a new mutant strain of bacteria.
Flexible.
Yoga helps improve flexibility and balance.
The gymnast's body was incredibly flexible.
Playwright.
The local theater group invited the playwright to discuss their latest production.
The famous playwright wrote several acclaimed plays.
Siren.
The loud siren warned residents of the approaching tornado.
The shipwrecked sailors were lured by the enchanting song of the siren.
Primal.
The primal instincts of the animal were evident when it was hunting.
There's something primal about sitting around a campfire under the stars.
Systemic.
The documentary highlighted the systemic issues within the educational system.
Systemic change is required to address the root causes of inequality.
Spool.
The old sewing machine required a spool of thread to be loaded before it could be used.
She carefully wound the thread onto the spool to keep it from tangling.
Malnutrition.
Malnutrition is a severe problem that affects millions of children around the world.
The charity's goal is to combat malnutrition in impoverished communities.
Enchant.
The beauty of the landscape would enchant any visitor.
The magician's performance was so good, it seemed to enchant the entire audience.
Flamboyant.
The performer's flamboyant costume sparkled under the stage lights.
He had a flamboyant way of speaking that always captured the audience's attention.
Retribution.
Many believe that retribution is not the answer to crime and that rehabilitation is a better approach.
In the film, the hero sought retribution for the wrongs done to his family.
Forthcoming.
The author was very forthcoming about the challenges faced while writing her book.
The company announced that the forthcoming product launch would be delayed due to technical issues.
Wool.
Wool sweaters are essential for staying cozy during the winter months.
She knitted a warm scarf out of the softest wool she could find.
Incontinent.
The hospital provides special care for incontinent patients who require assistance.
Being incontinent can be challenging, but there are many products available to manage the condition.
Conical.
Pine trees are easily recognized by their conical form.
The conical shape of the party hat made it stand out in the crowd.
Hijack.
The movie plot revolves around an attempt to hijack a plane.
Internet security is important to prevent cybercriminals from trying to hijack your online accounts.
Knob.
The knob on the drawer came loose and needed to be tightened.
He turned the knob slowly to open the door without making a sound.
Ant.
An ant can lift many times its own body weight, which is quite remarkable.
The child watched in fascination as the ant carried a crumb across the patio.
Clay.
Children love to play with clay and create various shapes.
The artist molded the clay into a beautiful vase.
Explicate.
The teacher took the time to explicate the complex theory to the class.
It's important to explicate the instructions clearly to avoid any confusion.
Testify.
To testify to the quality of their product, the company offered a money-back guarantee.
The witness was nervous to testify in front of the court.
Homage.
The director's latest film is an homage to the silent movie era.
Paying homage to one's mentors is a sign of respect and gratitude.
Pretension.
He dropped all pretension and spoke honestly about his struggles.
The author's work was free of pretension, making it accessible to a wide audience.
Bunker.
During the war, the soldiers took shelter in the bunker.
The golfer aimed carefully to avoid the sand bunker near the green.
Acquisition.
The company's latest acquisition allowed it to expand into new markets.
The museum's new acquisition was a painting by a renowned artist.
Portable.
The portable charger is a lifesaver when you're traveling.
He bought a portable speaker to take to the beach.
Dogmatic.
It's challenging to have a discussion with someone who is dogmatic in their beliefs.
His dogmatic approach to management caused tension among the team members.
Immerse.
To learn a new language, it's helpful to immerse yourself in the culture where it's spoken.
The virtual reality game allowed players to immerse themselves in a fantasy world.
Bruise.
The bruise on the apple made it less appealing to eat.
She got a bruise on her knee after falling off her bike.
Tote.
She carried her books in a canvas tote bag.
The tote board at the racetrack displayed the odds for each horse.
Intercourse.
Social intercourse is an essential part of human interaction and community building.
The couple had a frank intercourse about their future plans.
Remodel.
They decided to remodel their kitchen to make it more modern.
After the remodel, the house looked completely different and much more spacious.
Whiting.
The chef prepared the whiting with a delicate herb crust.
Whiting is a popular choice for fish and chips in the UK.
Continent.
Africa is a continent rich in cultural diversity and natural resources.
She plans to travel across the continent of Europe by train.
Upstream.
It's important to address problems upstream before they become too large to manage.
The salmon swim upstream to lay their eggs.
Ponder.
He took a moment to ponder the consequences of his decision.
Philosophers ponder the big questions about life and existence.
Flavor.
Vanilla is a popular flavor for ice cream.
The chef added herbs to enhance the flavor of the soup.
C.
Vitamin C is essential for maintaining a healthy immune system.
The programming language C is known for its efficiency and control over system resources.
Bobbed.
The boat bobbed gently on the waves.
Her hair bobbed up and down as she ran.
Underrate.
Many people underrate the importance of a good night's sleep.
It's easy to underrate a quiet player on the team, but their contributions are vital.
Essential.
It's essential to have a first aid kit available during any outdoor activity.
Drinking water is essential for maintaining good health.
Chunk.
She added a large chunk of chocolate to the cookie dough.
The chunk of concrete fell from the old building, narrowly missing the pedestrians.
Morphine.
The patient was given morphine to manage the severe pain.
Morphine is often used for pain relief after surgeries.
Find.
The company was fined for not following environmental regulations.
He was fined for parking in a no parking zone.
Bash.
The critics didn't just review the movie, they gave it a real bash.
They planned a surprise birthday bash for their friend.
Bloat.
Eating too much salty food can make you feel bloat.
The software was full of unnecessary features that caused it to bloat.
Stigmatize.
The disease was once stigmatized, but now there is more awareness and understanding.
We should not stigmatize people for seeking mental health support.
Commission.
The artist received a commission to paint a mural for the new library.
Salespeople often work on commission, earning money based on what they sell.
Tragic.
It's tragic when someone's life is cut short by illness.
The accident was a tragic event that affected the whole community.
Inject.
The doctor will inject the vaccine into your upper arm.
You can inject some humor into a presentation to keep the audience engaged.
Corroborate.
Scientific evidence can corroborate a theory or hypothesis.
The witness's testimony helped to corroborate the defendant's alibi.
Lubricate.
You need to lubricate the bike chain regularly to prevent rust.
The mechanic used oil to lubricate the gears.
Scrupulous.
It's important to be scrupulous when dealing with contracts.
The researcher was scrupulous in documenting her findings.
Socialism.
Socialism advocates for the means of production to be owned by the community as a whole.
The debate about socialism versus capitalism is ongoing in many parts of the world.
Outcry.
The decision to cut funding for the arts caused an outcry among the community.
There was a public outcry when the park was threatened with closure.
Libel.
The newspaper was sued for libel after publishing false information about a celebrity.
Libel cases can be difficult to prove in court.
Estrange.
It's sad to see friends become estranged over misunderstandings.
The constant arguments served to estrange him from his family.
Stamina.
Marathon runners need a lot of stamina to finish the race.
Studying for exams is a mental challenge that requires stamina.
Morbid.
The book had a morbid fascination with death.
His morbid curiosity led him to explore abandoned buildings.
Bureau.
She filed a complaint with the Consumer Protection Bureau.
The bureau in her bedroom was an antique passed down from her grandmother.
Yoga.
He started practicing yoga to help with his back pain.
Yoga helps to improve flexibility and reduce stress.
Minimum.
The job pays minimum wage, but it's a good starting point for experience.
You must meet the minimum requirements to apply for the scholarship.
Pennant.
A pennant fluttered at the top of the mast, signaling the ship's arrival.
The team proudly displayed the pennant they won in the championship.
Amnesia.
The character in the novel suffered from amnesia after the accident.
Amnesia can be a temporary or permanent loss of memory.
Agenda.
Setting a clear agenda can make any event more productive.
The meeting's agenda was distributed to all attendees beforehand.
Irreverent.
His irreverent sense of humor sometimes got him into trouble.
The comedian is known for her irreverent take on politics.
Leopard.
A leopard can't change its spots, according to the old saying.
The leopard is known for its beautiful spotted coat.
Stronghold.
The castle was a stronghold during medieval times.
The political party has a stronghold in the northern regions.
Polymerase.
During replication, polymerase helps in the formation of a new strand of DNA.
Polymerase is an enzyme that synthesizes long chains of polymers or nucleic acids.
Astronaut.
The astronaut prepared for the mission to the International Space Station.
Being an astronaut requires rigorous training and a strong scientific background.
Refurbish.
The hotel rooms were refurbished with new furniture and decor.
They decided to refurbish the old theater and restore it to its former glory.
Cult.
The movie became a cult classic, adored by a dedicated group of fans.
The cult leader had a strong influence over his followers.
Unsettle.
Economic uncertainty can unsettle the stock market.
The strange noise in the night served to unsettle the campers.
Invest.
It's wise to invest in your education, as it pays off in the long run.
Many people invest in the stock market, hoping for a good return.
Boogie.
The kids love to boogie down at their friends' birthday parties.
They played some disco music and everyone started to boogie.
Paradox.
It's a paradox that the more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know.
The famous twin paradox is a thought experiment in special relativity.
Resolve.
The committee met to resolve the issues that had been raised.
She showed great resolve in overcoming the challenges she faced.
Aphid.
The gardener noticed an aphid infestation on the rose bushes.
Aphids can cause a lot of damage to plants if not controlled.
Smear.
The politician accused his opponent of trying to smear his reputation.
Be careful not to smear the ink while writing with a fountain pen.
Raisin.
She added raisins to the oatmeal for extra sweetness.
A raisin is simply a dried grape.
Earnest.
She was earnest in her efforts to improve the community.
His earnest request was met with a positive response.
Needle.
The needle on the compass pointed north.
She threaded the needle and began to sew the button back on.
Temperament.
An artist's temperament can be reflected in their work.
The dog's friendly temperament made it a great family pet.
Cabin.
They rented a cabin in the woods for the weekend.
The pilot announced turbulence and asked everyone to return to their cabin seats.
Antidote.
Trust is the antidote to fear in a relationship.
The doctor administered the antidote to counteract the poison.
Kosher.
The restaurant offers a selection of kosher meals for those who observe dietary laws.
She made sure all the ingredients were kosher before preparing the dish.
Snout.
The dog's wet snout pressed against the window as it looked outside.
The pig used its snout to dig in the ground for food.
Zoo.
The zoo is a place where you can see animals from all over the world.
They took their children to the zoo to learn about wildlife conservation.
Gut.
Probiotics are good for your gut health.
He had a gut feeling that something wasn't right.
Savor.
Take a moment to savor the flavors of this homemade apple pie.
She wanted to savor every second of her vacation by the beach.
Donut.
The child's eyes lit up at the sight of a chocolate-covered donut.
Every morning, he treats himself to a glazed donut with his coffee.
Fervent.
His fervent passion for painting was evident in every brushstroke.
The fans' fervent cheers could be heard across the stadium.
Pike.
She used a pike to defend herself during the medieval reenactment.
The fisherman caught a large pike in the northern lake.
Grub.
After a long hike, they were looking forward to some tasty grub at the campsite.
The gardener found grub in the soil while planting new flowers.
Vignette.
Her photography project included a beautiful vignette of urban street life.
The book began with a vignette about life in medieval times.
Utility.
The utility bill this month was surprisingly low due to our conservation efforts.
He found great utility in the multi-tool, especially on camping trips.
Deprive.
The strict diet seemed to deprive him of all his favorite foods.
You shouldn't deprive yourself of sleep during exam week.
Grievous.
The news reported a grievous accident on the highway this morning.
It was a grievous error that cost the company thousands of dollars.
Procedure.
There's a specific procedure to follow when evacuating a building.
The doctor explained the procedure before the surgery.
Laden.
The trees were laden with ripe, juicy oranges.
She walked slowly, laden with heavy grocery bags.
Sustain.
It's important to sustain a healthy environment for future generations.
The athlete was able to sustain high energy throughout the marathon.
Snapshot.
He took a quick snapshot of the breathtaking sunset.
The report provided a snapshot of the company's financial health.
Plumbing.
The old house's plumbing system needs a complete overhaul.
We had to call a professional to fix the plumbing issue in our bathroom.
Loop.
She tied her shoelaces in a double loop to keep them from coming undone.
The scenic mountain road goes in a loop around the lake.
Absence.
Her absence from the meeting was noted by all her colleagues.
The absence of noise in the countryside was a peaceful change from the city.
Shilling.
He found an old shilling in his grandfather's collection of coins.
The book cost just 1 shilling back in the early 1900s.
Sleeve.
The magician pulled a rabbit out of his sleeve during the show.
She wiped her tears with the sleeve of her sweater.
Compassionate.
The nurse was compassionate towards all her patients.
It's important to be compassionate towards those in need.
Adequate.
The space in the back seat is adequate for 2 passengers.
Make sure you have an adequate supply of water for the hike.
Coin.
He flipped a coin to decide which path to take.
The rare coin was the centerpiece of the museum's collection.
Solicitor.
The solicitor prepared all the paperwork for the court case.
She consulted a solicitor before signing the legal documents.
Encroach.
The vines began to encroach upon the neighboring property.
Urban development tends to encroach on wildlife habitats.
Polo.
The polo players were dressed in their team colors.
They watched a match of polo at the country club.
Offend.
Be careful not to offend anyone with your comments.
The comedian apologized if his joke offended anyone.
Firefight.
During the firefight, the crew worked tirelessly to save the forest.
The firefighters trained for a firefight in the simulation room.
Surgery.
The patient recovered well after the surgery.
Surgery is often required to treat serious injuries.
Expressionist.
She admired the Expressionist art movement for its emotional intensity.
The gallery featured an Expressionist painter's vibrant works.
Syllabus.
The students received the syllabus for the upcoming semester.
It's important to review the syllabus before the course begins.
Clerk.
He worked as a clerk in the local grocery store.
The clerk at the front desk greeted guests with a smile.
Canister.
She stored the coffee beans in an airtight canister.
The canister of film contained rare historical footage.
Cauldron.
A large cauldron was used to cook stew for the festival.
The witch stirred the bubbling cauldron with a long spoon.
Cache.
The hikers found a cache of supplies left by previous adventurers.
The computer's cache needed to be cleared to improve performance.
Amen.
Amen, he agreed, relieved that the difficult task was finally over.
The congregation said Amen at the end of the prayer.
Didactic.
The teacher's didactic method helped students understand complex topics.
The story was didactic, imparting a moral lesson to its readers.
Cleave.
The ship seemed to cleave through the waves effortlessly.
The butcher used a sharp knife to cleave the meat.
Innovate.
Companies that innovate tend to stay ahead in the market.
To innovate is to make improvements by introducing new ideas.
Earl.
In medieval times, an earl was a nobleman ranking above a viscount.
The earl of the region was known for his generosity.
Granny.
My granny bakes the best apple pie in the world.
He visited his granny every Sunday without fail.
Anecdote.
The speaker began her presentation with a personal anecdote.
He shared a humorous anecdote from his childhood.
Wishful.
His wishful thinking did not change the reality of the situation.
She had a wishful desire to travel the world one day.
Afloat.
Company stayed afloat during the economic downturn.
They kept the boat afloat despite the rough waters.
Controversy.
The new policy sparked a lot of controversy.
He tends to avoid controversy in his public statements.
Chaste.
The poem described the chaste beauty of the countryside.
The nun led a chaste and simple life.
Devolve.
The discussion quickly devolved into an argument.
Responsibilities will devolve to the new team leader.
Karate.
The karate tournament attracted competitors from around the world.
She earned her black belt in karate after years of training.
Magistrate.
The magistrate presided over the small claims court.
He was brought before the magistrate for a traffic violation.
Recreation.
Recreational activities are essential for a balanced lifestyle.
The park offers many opportunities for outdoor recreation.
Aeronautics.
He studied aeronautics to become a pilot.
The museum's aeronautics exhibit showcased early flight models.
Stove.
The old wood-burning stove added a cozy feel to the cabin.
She turned on the stove to boil water for tea.
Mucus.
The cold weather caused an increase in mucus production.
She used a tissue to wipe away the mucus from her nose.
Nap.
A short nap can be refreshing during a busy day.
He took a quick nap on the couch after lunch.
Draft.
The draft from the window made the room chilly.
She completed the first draft of her novel.
Delinquent.
He paid off his delinquent credit card bill to avoid extra charges.
The delinquent behavior was reported to the school principal.
Overhead.
The overhead lights flickered during the storm.
The company reduced its overhead costs to increase profits.
Contradict.
It's confusing when the evidence seems to contradict the testimony.
His actions often contradict his words.
Haphazard.
The books were stacked in a haphazard manner on the shelf.
The haphazard arrangement of the files made them hard to find.
Ham.
The actor was accused of being a ham on stage.
She decided to bake a honey-glazed ham for dinner.
Utmost.
She took the utmost care when handling the ancient manuscript.
His work is of the utmost importance to the project.
Malfunction.
There was a malfunction in the vehicle's braking system.
The printer had a malfunction and stopped working.
Venom.
The snake's venom can be fatal if not treated quickly.
Researchers study scorpion venom for potential medical uses.
Intact.
Despite the storm, the ship's hull was still intact.
The vase fell but luckily remained intact.
Creole.
The recipe called for a mix of Creole spices.
She spoke both French and Creole fluently.
Streak.
He has a winning streak in the chess tournament.
The window cleaner left no streaks on the glass.
Coaster.
Please use a coaster to protect the wooden table.
The roller coaster at the amusement park was thrilling.
Acquaint.
She took the time to acquaint her guests with each other.
I need to acquaint myself with the new software.
Admissible.
The evidence was deemed admissible by the judge.
Not all records are admissible in a court of law.
Complaint.
He had no complaints about the hotel's accommodations.
The customer filed a complaint about the poor service.
Crease.
The paper had a crease where it was folded.
She ironed the shirt to remove the creases.
Debate.
There is an ongoing debate about the best method of education.
The candidates engaged in a heated debate on live television.
Ointment.
Apply the ointment to the affected area twice a day.
The doctor prescribed an ointment for the skin rash.
Onslaught.
The team faced an onslaught of criticism after the loss.
The castle withstood the onslaught of the enemy forces.
Integral.
Regular exercise is integral to maintaining good health.
He played an integral role in the success of the project.
Partisan.
She tried to avoid partisan politics in her speech.
The discussion became too partisan and divisive.
Trailer.
The movie trailer looked exciting and promising.
They lived in a trailer while their house was being built.
Deport.
He feared he would be deported back to his home country.
The government decided to deport the individual for violating visa rules.
Boo.
The audience started to boo the performer off the stage.
It's not polite to boo at a sports event, even if you're disappointed.
Fraternity.
The fraternity organized a charity event for the local community.
He joined a fraternity in his first year of college.
Fortuitous.
The timing of the meeting was fortuitous, as all members were in town.
It was a fortuitous coincidence that they met at the airport.
Protocol.
Diplomatic protocol dictates the order of speakers at the summit.
The company has a strict protocol for handling customer data.
Basque.
She wore a traditional Basque beret to the festival.
The Basque country is known for its unique culture and language.
Ark.
The ancient ark was discovered during the excavation.
The children's storybook illustrated Noah's Ark with all the animals.
Saga.
The movie is the latest installment in a popular space saga.
His journey to success was a long and challenging saga.
Behavior.
The students' behavior improved after the new policy was implemented.
Positive reinforcement can shape a child's behavior.
Pauper.
The prince disguised himself as a pauper to understand his subjects.
The old man lived like a pauper, despite his wealth.
Primacy.
The principle of primacy of the law is fundamental in a democracy.
The company places primacy on customer satisfaction.
Initial.
Please sign your initial on each page of the contract.
Her initial reaction to the news was one of disbelief.
Feminist.
She wrote a feminist critique of the novel.
The feminist movement advocates for equal rights for women.
Diplomat.
The diplomat was skilled in negotiating complex agreements.
As a diplomat, he traveled to many different countries.
Spectre.
The old mansion was said to be haunted by a specter.
The specter of war loomed over the region.
Lateral.
The player made a lateral move to avoid the tackle.
The company offered her a lateral transfer to a different department.
Sap.
The long hours began to sap his energy.
Maple sap is collected to make syrup.
Extension.
The deadline was given an extension.
The new wing is an extension of the main building.
Butler.
In the novel, the butler was the unexpected culprit.
The butler answered the door with a polite greeting.
Congenial.
The hostess was congenial and made everyone feel welcome.
A congenial atmosphere makes the workplace more enjoyable.
Toil.
His years of toil finally paid off when he published his book.
The workers toiled in the fields from dawn till dusk.
Cafeteria.
The cafeteria was crowded during the lunch hour.
Students have a variety of food options in the school cafeteria.
Psyche.
Greek mythology often explores the human psyche through its stories.
The traumatic event had a lasting impact on her psyche.
Disengage.
The pilot had to disengage the autopilot system manually.
It's sometimes necessary to disengage from stressful situations.
Tablespoon.
She measured a tablespoon of vanilla extract for the cake.
Add 2 tablespoons of sugar to the recipe.
Courtier.
The courtier bowed deeply as the queen entered the room.
In the palace, a courtier must always be aware of court etiquette.
Venerable.
They sought advice from the venerable elder of the village.
The venerable professor was respected by all her students.
Criminology.
He studied criminology to understand the minds of criminals.
Criminology often explores the societal impact of crime.
Captor.
She escaped from her captors in a daring midnight flight.
The captor held the hostages in an unknown location.
Carcinogen.
Smoking is known to introduce carcinogens into the lungs.
The report listed several chemicals as potential carcinogens.
Pirate.
Stories of the pirate's treasure have been told for generations.
The pirate ship loomed on the horizon, striking fear into the merchants.
Sieve.
She used a sieve to strain the pasta from the water.
The fine sieve separated the flour from any lumps.
Ditch.
During the rainstorm, the ditch is filled with water.
The car swerved and ended up in a ditch beside the road.
Ball.
The baby started to bawl as soon as his parents left the room.
She couldn't help but bawl when she heard the sad news.
Emerald.
The emerald green of the forest was breathtaking.
Her necklace was adorned with a sparkling emerald.
Shin.
He bruised his shin during the soccer match.
The table was so low that she kept hitting her shin against it.
Hue.
She decorated her room in a calming blue hue.
The sky took on a pink hue at dawn.
Beard.
He grew a beard during No Shave November.
The wise old man stroked his beard thoughtfully.
Puppet.
She crafted a puppet out of socks for the school project.
The children were delighted by the puppet show in the park.
Tube.
He squeezed the last bit of toothpaste from the tube.
The tube station was crowded during rush hour.
Majority.
She won the election by a large majority.
The majority of voters supported the new policy.
Epoch.
The discovery marked a new epoch in space exploration.
Historians divide history into different epochs.
Shah.
During his reign, the Shah implemented many reforms.
The Shah of Persia was known for his wealth and power.
Poor.
She examined her skin closely, looking at each pore.
Plants' pores allow them to breathe and transpire.
Shanty.
The workers sang a shanty while they toiled.
The fishermen lived in a small shanty by the sea.
Slink.
The cat slinked through the grass, stalking its prey.
He tried to slink out of the room unnoticed.
Saloon.
He pushed through the swinging doors of the saloon.
The old Western saloon was the hub of the town.
Quantify.
It's difficult to quantify the impact of the new law.
The scientist attempted to quantify the results of the experiment.
Mobile.
His job requires him to be mobile and travel frequently.
She hung a colorful mobile above the baby's crib.
Earthquake.
The earthquake caused widespread damage in the city.
Seismologists study earthquake patterns to predict future tremors.
Kernel.
The kernel of truth in his story was hard to find.
Every kernel of corn popped in the hot pan.
Cattle.
The cattle grazed peacefully in the open field.
Ranchers must take care of their cattle during the winter months.
Contrary.
Her contrary opinion sparked a lively discussion.
On the contrary, I believe the plan will work.
Glum.
He looked glum after hearing the disappointing news.
The weather was glum, with gray clouds covering the sky.
Froth.
Waves crashed against the shore, leaving froth on the sand.
The froth on the cappuccino was perfectly creamy.
Referee.
The referee blew the whistle to start the game.
Players often argue with the referee's decision.
Secretary.
He thanked his secretary for her assistance with the report.
The secretary organized all the files neatly in the cabinet.
Binge.
She decided to binge-watch her favorite series over the weekend.
The binge-eating session left him feeling regretful.
Enthusiasm.
The crowd's enthusiasm energized the performers.
Her enthusiasm for the project was contagious.
Done.
The horse's dun coat blended with the desert sands.
The dun-colored walls gave the room a muted feel.
Compass.
The drawing required a compass to make perfect circles.
He used a compass to find his way back to camp.
Cordial.
The host gave a cordial welcome to all the guests.
Despite their disagreement, their conversation remained cordial.
Axial.
The axial rotation of the wheel was smooth and steady.
The axial tilt of the Earth affects the seasons.
Remunerate.
The company agreed to remunerate him for his travel expenses.
Artists should be fairly remunerated for their work.
Importance.
She stressed the importance of education in her speech.
The importance of a balanced diet cannot be overstated.
Flux.
The industry is in a state of flux due to technological changes.
Magnetic flux is a measure of the strength of a magnetic field.
Astronomy.
His interest in astronomy began when he first saw the Milky Way.
Astronomy is the study of celestial objects and phenomena.
P.
She added a handful of green peas to the soup.
The princess could feel the pea through 20 mattresses.
Arsenal.
The team had an arsenal of strategies to use against their opponents.
The military base housed a large arsenal of weapons.
Hog.
The hog wallowed in the cool mud on a hot day.
Don't be a hog, share the snacks with everyone else.
Tertiary.
The tertiary color was a mix of one primary and one secondary color.
Tertiary education is also known as higher education.
Jealous.
He felt jealous when he saw her talking to someone else.
Jealousy can sometimes lead to destructive behavior.
Maternal.
The maternal bond between mother and child is very strong.
Her maternal instincts kicked in when she heard the baby cry.
Soap.
She dropped the bar of soap in the shower.
The soap opera has been on the air for decades.
Publicize.
It's important to publicize the charity's work to attract donors.
The company decided to publicize the event through social media.
Parenthesis.
The author added a humorous comment in the parenthesis.
When reading aloud, it's common to ignore the information inside the parenthesis.
Kaleidoscope.
The kaleidoscope of autumn leaves created a stunning view.
A child's laughter filled the room as she peered through the kaleidoscope.
Burgle.
The police caught the man trying to burgle the store at night.
It's important to secure your home to prevent any attempts to burgle.
Abbey.
Tourists flock to the abbey to admire its ancient architecture.
The old abbey stood solemnly on the hill, overlooking the village.
Ode.
The poet wrote an ode to the beauty of the night sky.
An ode to joy can lift the spirits of those who hear it.
Unscathed.
The vase fell, but, miraculously, it was unscathed.
Despite the accident, the driver emerged unscathed.
Route.
The scenic route offered breathtaking views of the coastline.
We took a different route to avoid the traffic jam.
Configure.
The technician helped them configure their new computer system.
You need to configure the software before it can be used.
Loaf.
The baker displayed a fresh loaf of bread in the window.
She sliced the loaf into even pieces for the sandwiches.
Seductive.
The seductive aroma of the bakery was impossible to resist.
The advertisement was designed to be seductive and attract customers.
Insidious.
The disease was insidious, showing no symptoms until it was too late.
An insidious problem is often difficult to detect until it has caused significant damage.
Omission.
His apology felt insincere, due to the omission of any real remorse.
The omission of important details can lead to misunderstandings.
Literary.
The book club discussed the literary merits of the latest bestseller.
She pursued a degree in literary studies because of her love for classic novels.
Amiable.
An amiable conversation is always a pleasant way to pass the time.
The amiable host made everyone feel welcome.
Molecule.
A water molecule consists of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom.
Scientists study the structure of a molecule to understand its properties.
Avocado.
The avocado tree in their backyard finally bore fruit this year.
She spread ripe avocado on her toast every morning.
Facial.
She booked a facial at the spa for some much-needed pampering.
A good facial cleanser is essential for healthy skin.
Staunch.
Her staunch defense of her beliefs inspired others.
He was a staunch supporter of environmental conservation efforts.
Affirm.
The company's policy is to affirm the importance of customer satisfaction.
He needed to affirm his commitment to the project.
Clot.
A clot of cream formed on top of the fresh milk.
The nurse explained how a blood clot could pose serious health risks.
Thud.
The book fell to the floor with a heavy thud.
A thud in the night startled the sleeping family.
Salute.
We salute the bravery of the firefighters who saved the family.
The soldiers gave a salute as the national anthem played.
Rival.
The two teams were longtime rivals on the football field.
She faced her rival in the final round of the competition.
Amorphous.
The artist's sculpture was intentionally amorphous, defying clear interpretation.
The amorphous shape of the cloud captured the child's imagination.
Scrap.
He kept a scrap of paper with his favorite quote on it.
The mechanic searched for a scrap of metal to complete the repair.
Liquor.
He decided to give up liquor for his health.
The store required ID to purchase liquor.
Automobile.
The vintage automobile was the star of the car show.
She saved up to buy her first automobile.
Ludicrous.
His ludicrous outfit made everyone laugh.
The idea of a flying car seemed ludicrous to many.
Vast.
The vast ocean stretched out before them.
She had a vast collection of stamps from around the world.
Sheriff.
In the movie, the sheriff was the hero who saved the day.
The sheriff kept order in the small town.
Coriander.
She sprinkled coriander over the dish for extra flavor.
Fresh coriander can really enhance a salad.
Merchant.
Online merchants often offer discounts during the holiday season.
The merchant sold exotic spices at the market.
Strict.
The teacher was strict but fair with her students.
The company has a strict no smoking policy.
Hemorrhage.
A hemorrhage can be a serious medical emergency.
The doctor was concerned about the risk of a hemorrhage during surgery.
Plaque.
The plaque on the wall commemorated the building's historical significance.
Dental plaque can lead to cavities if not removed.
Demarcate.
The parking spaces were clearly demarcated with white lines.
The fence was built to demarcate the two properties.
Reparation.
The country made reparations for the damages caused during the war.
Reparation for the stolen items was made in full by the thief.
Impression.
The child's hand made an acute impression in the wet cement.
He left a good impression on the interviewers.
Paddle.
They used a paddle to steer the canoe across the lake.
The chef used a paddle to slide the pizza into the oven.
Nightclub.
They celebrated her birthday at the most popular nightclub in town.
The nightclub was known for its vibrant dance floor.
Meticulous.
Her meticulous attention to detail made her an excellent editor.
The meticulous planning ensured the event was a success.
Overlap.
There was an overlap in the duties of the two departments.
The two schedules had a slight overlap.
Barricade.
The protesters set up a barricade to block the street.
The police put up a barricade to keep the crowd safe.
Stave.
To stave off hunger, he ate a small snack.
The barrel was made of wooden staves.
Slab.
The slab of concrete was poured for the new driveway.
A slab of chocolate cake awaited her at the party.
Rapport.
Good rapport between team members can improve productivity.
The teacher built a strong rapport with her students.
Stoke.
He had to stoke the fire to keep the house warm.
The news seemed to stoke the controversy even more.
Whereby.
The contract included a clause whereby both parties must agree to arbitration.
They created a system whereby residents could vote online.
Wretch.
The poor wretch was left without a home after the storm.
In the story, the wretch turned out to be the unlikely hero.
Here.
The theater had multiple tiers of seating for the audience.
The wedding cake had 3 beautiful tiers.
Objected.
She objected to the changes in the company policy.
The lawyer objected during the trial, asking for a clarification.
Euthanasia.
Euthanasia is a controversial topic in medical ethics.
The debate on euthanasia is complex and emotionally charged.
Ram.
The male sheep, or ram, led the flock across the field.
The old computer needed more RAM to run the latest software.
Gullible.
It's not good to be too gullible when reading information online.
The con artist found a gullible victim for his scam.
Appetite.
After the long hike, her appetite was enormous.
The medication can cause a loss of appetite.
Interstellar.
Interstellar space is vast and mostly empty.
The movie Interstellar explores the concept of space travel.
Introvert.
As an introvert, he preferred quiet evenings at home.
The introvert found the crowded party overwhelming.
Wicked.
She had a wicked sense of humor that always made us laugh.
The villain in the story was truly wicked.
Gouge.
The carpenter used a tool to gouge out a groove in the wood.
The high prices felt like they were trying to gouge customers.
Crimson.
Her dress was a beautiful crimson color.
The sunset turned the sky a deep shade of crimson.
Parody.
The comedian did a parody of a famous singer.
The film was a parody of the horror genre.
Palate.
A chef's job is to satisfy the palate of their patrons.
The wine was pleasing to the palate.
Tendered.
He tendered his resignation after the disagreement.
The company tendered for the construction project.
Genius.
The invention was a stroke of genius.
Einstein is often cited as a genius in physics.
Bulldoze.
The old building was bulldozed to make way for a new park.
They had to bulldoze through the jungle to create the path.
Feud.
The feud between the two actors became public.
The families ended their feud after many years.
Rickety.
The rickety bridge swayed in the wind.
She climbed the rickety ladder with caution.
Polly.
In math, a polynomial has more than one term.
The poly fabric was durable and easy to clean.
Nipple.
The baby latched onto the nipple of the bottle.
The plumber fixed the leaky nipple joint in the pipes.
Acid.
The acid rain was harmful to the environment.
Lemon juice has a high acid content.
National.
The team celebrated their victory at the Nacional Stadium.
Nacional pride was evident during the Independence Day celebrations.
Feminism.
The discussion on feminism has evolved significantly over the years.
Feminism advocates for equal rights and opportunities for women.
Aperture.
Adjusting the aperture can change the depth of field in a photograph.
The camera's aperture was set too wide, causing the image to overexpose.
Sonata.
The sonata form is a common structure in classical music compositions.
She played a beautiful sonata on the piano.
Trivial.
The trivia game included questions that were surprisingly trivial.
They argued over a trivial matter that was easily resolved.
Negligible.
The impact on the budget was negligible, so the project proceeded.
The difference in performance was so small, it was considered negligible.
Insignia.
The soldier's uniform bore the insignia of his rank.
The car's hood was adorned with the manufacturer's insignia.
Doctrine.
The doctrine of nonviolence is central to many peace movements.
The political party's doctrine was outlined in its manifesto.
Winding.
The winding road up the mountain was both scenic and treacherous.
The river followed a winding path through the forest.
Yeast.
The yeast fermented the sugars, producing alcohol in the beer.
Yeast is an essential ingredient in bread making.
Workout.
After a tough workout, she felt energized and ready for the day.
He followed a strict workout regimen to stay in shape.
Upheaval.
The family faced emotional upheaval after moving to a new city.
The political upheaval led to a change in government.
Passport.
She renewed her passport ahead of her international trip.
A valid passport is necessary for most overseas travel.
Discontinuity.
The discontinuity in the rock layers indicated a period of erosion.
There was a noticeable discontinuity in the company's financial records.
Pessimism.
Despite the challenges, he maintained an attitude free of pessimism.
The economic forecast was met with pessimism by the investors.
Affluent.
She came from an affluent family with a long history of philanthropy.
The affluent neighborhood was known for its luxury homes.
Monochrome.
The artist's monochrome painting captured the mood of the scene.
The monochrome display of the device was easy on the eyes.
Defendant.
In the courtroom, the defendant sat quietly, awaiting the verdict.
The defendant pleaded not guilty to the charges.
Request.
He made a request for additional resources on the project.
The DJ played her request at the party, and everyone started dancing.
Psychotherapy.
She found that psychotherapy helped her cope with stress.
Psychotherapy can be an effective treatment for mental health issues.
Stead.
He stood instead as the acting manager while she was on leave.
In times of trouble, good friends are a valuable stead.
Bribe.
To bribe someone is both unethical and illegal.
The official was caught accepting a bribe.
Interim.
An interim government was established until elections could be held.
She was appointed as the interim director of the department.
Nutrient.
A balanced diet provides all the necessary nutrients for good health.
Plants absorb nutrients from the soil.
Adamant.
She was adamant that the meeting should start on time.
Despite the opposition, he remained adamant about his decision.
Cram.
He had to cram all his belongings into the small suitcase.
Students often cram the night before an exam.
Rupee.
The rupee is the currency used in India.
She exchanged dollars for rupees before her trip.
Oath.
He made an oath to always tell the truth.
The president took an oath of office during the inauguration.
Triad.
The musical triad consists of 3 notes played together.
The triad of flavors in the dish was perfectly balanced.
Medal.
The soldier was awarded a medal for bravery.
The athlete won a gold medal at the Olympics.
Snatch.
The thief tried to snatch her purse in the crowded market.
He managed to snatch a victory in the final seconds of the game.
Ornithology.
Ornithology is the scientific study of birds and their behaviors.
Her interest in birds led her to study ornithology.
Din.
The din of construction work echoed throughout the neighborhood.
She couldn't hear over the din of the bustling cafe.
Constituency.
Each constituency has the power to elect a representative to Parliament.
The politician visited his constituency to understand their concerns better.
Worthwhile.
Volunteering at the animal shelter felt like a worthwhile way to spend her time.
The long hours of practice proved worthwhile when he won the championship.
Volunteer.
Many people volunteer their time to help others during the holidays.
She decided to volunteer at the local food bank.
Dandelion.
Children love to blow on a dandelion and watch the seeds float away.
The dandelion is often considered a weed, but it can also be used in salads.
Despondent.
He was despondent when he didn't receive the job offer.
After the loss, the team felt despondent.
Scarce.
During the drought, water became scarce.
Jobs were scarce in the small town, leading many to move away.
Cerebral.
She enjoyed cerebral games that challenged her intellect.
The lecture was too cerebral for the young audience to grasp.
Infarct.
The doctor explained that an infarct is an area of dead tissue caused by a lack of blood supply.
He suffered a myocardial infarct, commonly known as a heart attack.
Kit.
The first aid kit was stocked with essential supplies.
He packed his kit for the camping trip.
Penchant.
She has a penchant for collecting rare books.
His penchant for gourmet food led him to become a chef.
Scandinavia.
She traveled through Scandinavia and fell in love with the culture.
Scandinavia is known for its stunning natural landscapes and progressive social policies.
Elude.
The criminal managed to elude the police for months.
The answer to the riddle continued to elude him.
Horse.
He sounded hoarse from the cold he was recovering from.
After cheering at the concert, her voice was hoarse.
Entomology.
Entomology is the study of insects and their relationship to humans.
He chose to specialize in entomology because of his fascination with bees.
Fluent.
Being fluent in multiple languages is a valuable skill in today's global society.
She became fluent in Spanish after living in Spain for a year.
Mortify.
She was mortified when she realized she had spinach in her teeth all evening.
To mortify someone is to cause them great embarrassment.
Bicycle.
The children learned to balance on a bicycle without training wheels.
He rode his bicycle to work every day to save money on gas.
Outcrop.
The outcrop of rock on the hillside was a popular spot for local hikers.
Geologists often study an outcrop to learn about the area's geological history.
Epilepsy.
Many people with epilepsy lead full and active lives with proper treatment.
Epilepsy is a neurological condition that can cause seizures.
Reassemble.
After cleaning the device, I had to reassemble it carefully.
It took me hours to reassemble the puzzle pieces into the original picture.
Sectarian.
Sectarian differences should not prevent communities from working together.
The sectarian violence in the region has decreased thanks to the peace talks.
Eloquent.
The speaker was so eloquent that everyone was moved by her speech.
He wrote an eloquent letter of apology that impressed the committee.
Smudge.
The child left a smudge on the wall with his chocolate-covered hands.
Be careful not to smudge the ink while it's still wet.
Aluminum.
Aluminum foil is commonly used in cooking and food storage.
The aluminum can is lightweight and recyclable.
Ensure.
We must ensure that everyone has access to clean drinking water.
Please double-check to ensure all the data is entered correctly.
Ah.
The speaker filled the awkward silence with an and an
Is often used as a filler word in hesitant speech.
Conjecture.
His conjecture about the outcome of the game turned out to be correct.
Scientists often use conjecture to form hypotheses before testing them.
Confection.
The bakery's confection display was full of colorful sweets.
She prepared a delicious confection for the dessert competition.
Contemporary.
Contemporary dance often incorporates elements from various dance traditions.
The artist's work is a blend of classical and contemporary styles.
Burr.
The carpenter sanded down the burr on the edge of the table.
A burr can be annoying and may cause injury if not removed from metal objects.
Plod.
He continued to plod on with his work, despite feeling tired.
The explorers had to plod through the swamp for hours.
Calendar.
I marked our anniversary on the calendar so I wouldn't forget.
The school calendar lists all the important dates for the academic year.
Pictorial.
Children's books are often pictorial to keep young readers engaged.
The pictorial guide helped tourists identify the local landmarks.
Piracy.
Piracy of movies and music is illegal and harms the entertainment industry.
The government introduced new laws to combat digital piracy.
Hormone.
The doctor explained how the imbalance of hormones could affect health.
Hormones play a crucial role in regulating body functions.
Subdue.
The team managed to subdue the opposition in the second half of the game.
It's important to subdue one's anger in stressful situations.
Niece.
She proudly showed off the drawing her niece had made.
My niece is coming over to spend the weekend with us.
Bait.
The fisherman used worms as bait to catch fish.
In marketing, free samples are often used as bait to attract customers.
Clash.
The loud clash of cymbals marked the climax of the symphony.
The two politicians' opinions were bound to clash on the debate stage.
Headway.
The team made significant headway on the project this week.
After hours of negotiation, they finally made headway in the talks.
Radical.
Radical changes are needed to address the environmental crisis.
The scientist proposed a radical new theory in her field.
Omelets.
He made delicious omelets for breakfast with cheese and spinach.
Making omelets is a quick and easy way to start the day.
Paranoia.
His paranoia made him believe that everyone was out to get him.
Paranoia can be a symptom of some mental health conditions.
Uproot.
The farmer had to uproot the old tree to clear the field.
Sometimes you need to uproot your life to find new opportunities.
Enlighten.
To enlighten someone is to give them greater knowledge and understanding.
The teacher aimed to enlighten her students about different cultures.
Artery.
The main artery of the city is always busy during rush hour.
A blockage in an artery can lead to serious health problems.
Fluorescent.
He wore a fluorescent vest to be visible in the low light.
The fluorescent lights in the office were bright and energy efficient.
Pessimistic.
Despite the team's efforts, he remained pessimistic about their chances of winning.
Her pessimistic outlook made it hard for her to see the positive side of situations.
Kiwi.
I added sliced kiwi to the fruit salad for a tangy flavor.
The kiwi is not only a fruit but also a bird native to New Zealand.
Lentil.
Lentil soup is a hearty and nutritious meal.
She soaked the lentils overnight before cooking them.
Media.
Social media has become a powerful tool for communication and marketing.
The media plays a significant role in shaping public opinion.
Wilt.
The flowers began to wilt in the intense heat of the sun.
Without enough water, the plants will wilt and eventually die.
Entwine.
Their fingers entwined as they walked together.
The vines began to entwine around the trellis as they grew.
Theories.
Various theories exist about the origin of the universe.
His theories on economics influenced many policies.
Encamp.
Soldiers would often encamp in the fields during their marches.
The hikers decided to encamp by the river for the night.
Invasion.
The invasion of privacy is a serious concern in the digital age.
The historical invasion changed the course of the country's history.
Cohabit.
They decided to cohabit before getting married.
Some animals cohabit to raise their offspring more effectively.
Dim.
The room was dim due to the thick curtains blocking the sunlight.
His hopes for victory began to dim as the opponent took the lead.
Payroll.
Errors in the payroll can cause significant issues for staff.
The payroll department ensures that all employees are paid on time.
Multinational.
The multinational corporation had offices in over 30 countries.
Working for a multinational can offer valuable international experience.
Reside.
Many artists reside in the bustling city known for its cultural scene.
She has come to reside in a quaint village by the sea.
Wholehearted.
His wholehearted support was crucial to the project's success.
She gave a wholehearted performance that left the audience in awe.
Hoist.
The flag was hoisted to the top of the pole as the crowd cheered.
The workers used a crane to hoist the heavy beams into place.
Subjective.
Beauty is a subjective matter that varies from person to person.
His analysis was criticized for being too subjective and lacking objectivity.
Bench.
He spent his lunch break sitting on a park bench, enjoying the sunshine.
The judge asked the witness to take a seat on the bench.
Illustrious.
The scientist had an illustrious career filled with groundbreaking discoveries.
The hall was named after an illustrious former student of the university.
Ocean.
She loved the calming sound of the ocean waves.
The ocean is home to a vast array of marine life.
Sage.
The sage offered wise advice to those who sought it.
Fresh sage is a wonderful herb to use in autumn dishes.
Succumb.
Many plants succumb to disease if not properly cared for.
It's important not to succumb to peer pressure.
Conceit.
His conceit made it difficult for others to work with him.
The poem's central conceit was cleverly constructed.
Elk.
Hunters must have a license to hunt elk in many states.
The elk roamed freely in the national park.
Terrify.
Horror movies can terrify even the bravest of souls.
The thought of speaking in public used to terrify her.
Punt.
He took a punt down the river, enjoying the peaceful scenery.
The team decided to punt on the fourth down.
Bloke.
The friendly bloke at the pub made everyone feel welcome.
That bloke over there has been staring at us for a while.
Canonical.
His thesis explored the canonical laws of the medieval church.
The canonical works of literature are studied in schools worldwide.
Vote.
Every citizen should exercise their right to vote.
The committee will vote on the proposal next week.
Comb.
A honeybee's comb is a marvel of natural engineering.
She used a comb to untangle her hair.
Schema.
The database's schema defines the structure of the stored data.
Architects use a schema to represent the basic layout of a building.
Opioid.
Doctors are cautious when prescribing opioids due to their addictive nature.
The rise in opioid abuse is a major public health concern.
Consecutive.
The team won 3 consecutive games and advanced to the finals.
He worked for 5 consecutive hours without taking a break.
Prolific.
The garden was prolific, producing an abundance of vegetables.
The author was prolific, publishing several books a year.
Dental.
Regular dental checkups are important for oral health.
She had to undergo dental surgery to remove a wisdom tooth.
Interlock.
Their hands interlocked as they made a promise to each other.
The gears interlock perfectly, allowing the machine to function smoothly.
Surmount.
The climber managed to surmount the steep mountain.
She had to surmount numerous obstacles to achieve her dream.
Providence.
The city of Providence is known for its historic architecture.
Many people believe that Providence has a plan for everyone.
Appall.
The scandal was sure to appall the public.
He was appalled by the lack of empathy shown by the company.
Misguided.
His misguided attempt to fix the issue only made things worse.
The misguided policy led to many unforeseen problems.
Foreman.
The foreman directed the construction crew efficiently.
As the foreman, he was responsible for the safety of his team.
Restore.
She hoped to restore the friendship that had been damaged.
The community project aimed to restore the old theater.
Precipitous.
The precipitous decline in sales was a cause for concern.
The hikers were wary of the precipitous edges along the trail.
Spar.
The debate team would spar with each other to prepare for competitions.
The boxers were ready to spar in the ring.
Complicity.
His complicity in the crime was later proven in court.
She felt guilty about her complicity in the dishonest scheme.
Tattoo.
The intricate tattoo covered his entire arm.
He got a new tattoo to commemorate his journey.
Aloft.
The balloon floated aloft, high above the trees.
The flag flew aloft as the wind picked up.
Audacity.
His audacity to question the authority surprised everyone.
It took audacity for her to challenge the established norms.
Predicament.
The company found itself in a predicament after the PR disaster.
He was in a predicament, unsure of how to proceed without offending anyone.
Defeat.
To accept defeat gracefully is a sign of maturity.
The team faced a defeat despite their best efforts.
Trespass.
Do not trespass on private property without permission.
The sign clearly read, "No trespassing."
Shard.
A shard from the broken vase cut her finger.
She found a shard of glass in the sand.
Pun.
I love a good pun, it's a sign of a sharp mind.
His joke was a clever pun on the word fish.
Ward.
She volunteered in the children's ward every weekend.
The hospital ward was quiet in the early morning hours.
Christen.
They decided to christen their new boat, the Adventurer.
The ceremony to christen the baby will be held next month.
Barbarism.
Barbarism has no place in a civilized society.
The historian described the acts of barbarism committed during the war.
Willow.
The willow tree's branches swayed gently in the breeze.
They sat in the shade of a large willow by the river.
Massacre.
He wrote a book detailing the tragic massacre.
The massacre at the village left a dark mark on history.
Voucher.
She used a voucher to get a discount on her purchase.
The company gave out vouchers for a free meal at the new restaurant.
Factual.
It's important to distinguish between opinion and factual evidence.
The report was based on factual information.
Rough.
The dog's ruff stood up when it became agitated.
He wore an elaborate ruff as part of his costume.
Cameo.
The jeweler set a small cameo in the antique brooch.
The actress made a cameo appearance in the film.
Photon.
A photon is a fundamental particle of light.
In physics, a photon carries energy proportional to the light frequency.
Shiite.
There are significant differences between Shiite and Sunni beliefs.
The Shiite community celebrated their religious holiday with great fervor.
Baseball.
He hit a home run in the baseball game last night.
Baseball is often referred to as America's pastime.
Bold.
The bold flavors of the dish were impressive.
She made a bold decision to change her career path.
Superb.
The chef's new recipe was superb and delighted all the guests.
The performance was superb, earning a standing ovation.
Hazard.
Chemical waste poses a serious hazard to the environment.
There's a hazard on the road ahead due to construction.
Succulent.
The garden was filled with succulent plants that store water in their leaves.
The steak was so succulent it melted in her mouth.
Landlady.
She met with the landlady to discuss the terms of the lease.
The landlady was kind enough to fix the leak immediately.
Mock.
It's not nice to mock someone for their mistakes.
Comedians often mock politicians in their routines.
Cookie.
Would you like a cookie with your coffee?
I baked chocolate chip cookies for the bake sale.
Patchy.
The reception was patchy in the remote mountain area.
His beard looked patchy after the failed attempt to trim it.
Humble.
A humble abode can be a happy one.
Despite his success, he remained humble and gracious.
Glimmer.
The glimmer of hope kept them going through tough times.
A glimmer of sunlight peeked through the clouds.
Jeopardy.
The endangered species are in jeopardy due to habitat loss.
The company's future is in jeopardy if we don't act now.
Herein.
The terms are stated herein the contract.
All responsibilities are outlined herein this document.
Herb.
He grows various herbs in his kitchen garden.
Fresh herbs can enhance the flavor of any dish.
Sneeze.
Pollen often causes people to sneeze during spring.
A sudden sneeze interrupted the silence.
Jingle.
The jingle of keys announced his arrival.
The catchy jingle played in every commercial break.
Sensory.
The sensory experience at the exhibit was remarkable.
Sensory overload can be overwhelming for some individuals.
Aberration.
Genetic aberrations can lead to serious health issues.
The scientist's theory was considered an aberration by his peers.
Axis.
The Earth rotates on its axis once every 24 hours.
The axis of a graph is labeled with the variables being compared.
Renege.
The company decided to renege on the agreement, causing a dispute.
It's unfair to renege on a promise you've made.
Teak.
The teakwood furniture was known for its durability.
Sailors often used teak for shipbuilding because it withstands the elements well.
Cant.
He spoke in a cant that was difficult for outsiders to understand.
The cant of the roof allows rainwater to flow off easily.
Mauve.
The mauve dress she wore was subtly elegant.
The sunset sky turned a beautiful shade of mauve.
Hypocrite.
It's hypocritical to criticize others for what you yourself are guilty of.
A hypocrite says one thing but does another.
Leg.
The video stream began to lag due to a poor internet connection.
He had to work hard to catch up after starting to lag behind.
Proportion.
The room's dimensions were in perfect proportion to its size.
The proportion of ingredients is crucial in baking.
Cosmopolitan.
New York City is known for its cosmopolitan atmosphere.
Cosmopolitan lifestyle includes an appreciation for diverse cultures.
Skull.
Archaeologists found a skull while excavating the ancient site.
The skull protects the brain from injury.
Repay.
He promised to repay the loan within a year.
It's important to repay kindness with kindness.
Orient.
New employees will receive an orientation to familiarize them with the office.
The company is looking to orient itself towards a younger market.
Raid.
The police conducted a raid on the suspected hideout.
The sudden raid caught the criminals by surprise.
Aloud.
Thinking aloud helps me organize my thoughts.
She read the poem aloud to the class.
Carnage.
The battle left behind a scene of carnage.
The documentary depicted the carnage of war.
Shortfall.
They faced a shortfall in funding for the project.
The budget shortfall led to cuts in the program.
Lithe.
The dancer's lithe movements captivated the audience.
Her lithe figure moved gracefully across the stage.
Bilingual.
Many job opportunities require candidates to be bilingual, as it's a valuable skill in a globalized world.
Being bilingual allows you to communicate with a wider range of people from different cultures.